Hello, fellow Toolboxers. Welcome to episode number 335 of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox podcast. Let's get top 10 things I've learned recently about U.S. immigration law. It's always a cool one. Touches upon a lot of different things. I actually have a list of like 14. We'll see how many I get through and what the number ends up coming out to. But as you know, learn a lot of things every day practicing after all these years, 10 plus years or 15 years of practicing immigration law and doing the podcast and interviewing people. It's just so much every day you can learn. It's a fascinating field. I love it. And that's why I have a course on it too. Marriage immigration law course is really family based, but we call it marriage immigration, adjustment of status, 245, learn about admissibility basics, 212, affidavit support, consular processing. All you need to know, we have the best course out there for you. If you're new in this field, even we have students who've been doing it for 10, 15 years. They want to get into it and learn at next level and also be part of our group calls, our mentoring sessions that are part of the package. And the special we have right now is you get our free or just tag along. That's the same, would have been double the price, but it's half off essentially for our O1 seminar to learn about O1s. We had a seminar in Los Angeles, all-day seminar. Have it recorded. You learn a lot about it there. Contact me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com to get us started. Info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. There are a lot of people who are trying to get into immigration law, don't know how to get started, don't feel comfortable, feel secure. Secure, I'm like a rapper or something, but I said the rapper. Secure, why not? About the process. Well, we have it for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So it's a special program. Contact me if you're trying to get into this field. Immigration law is going to be booming in Trump's time. That's what's happening, just like last time around. So info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com is where to do it. Before we start, I got to say this is not intended as individual legal guidance. Please consult an immigration lawyer. This show is really for existing immigration lawyers. So, you all know the rules. So let's start with number one. It's a big issue that we're facing. It's very traumatic, actually, because what we have is cases that are processing in the Texas Service Center. What we're having is delays in getting receipts. This is really bad for I-751 cases where they need the receipt extension for work and travel and the like. But also cases that are I-130s not being transferred out of Texas to the National Visa Center. We have one case now, 90 days. We contacted the National Visa Center. They said that we're still waiting on USCIS. And it kind of coincided when this hurricane happened in Houston. So I'm like, is that the reason we're not getting any information from the government? On some Facebook groups, I saw other people are dealing with this too. One person said they contacted the government and the NBC said to submit a new I-130 and we'll waive the fee. Hopefully that doesn't happen in our cases. We're getting senator involvement right now to try to get something going on because these cases are stalled. They had gone pretty quick where the case was transferred from USCIS for these I-130s, I-140s to the National Visa Center within a week, maybe even less. But now we have several cases pending 60, 90 days plus. We have cases, we're finally getting the receipts for 90 days, 100 days, 120 days waiting to get I-751 receipts. So that was really annoying, very important to know. And I posted on this on LinkedIn too, and on Facebook to get the word out. If you have these cases, it's not abnormal, unfortunately. It's something that's happening. And again, it creates problems. So one is getting the I-751 receipts problematic because it's an extension they may need for work and driver's licenses and all the like. But then we also have cases that are Iranian, for me in particular, that we need to get the NVC process started, get an interview as soon as possible because if Trump is reelected, might get hit with a travel ban. So speed is very important on these. And unfortunately, they've held us up. Now, speaking of speed, there's this thing about the K3. And this actually happened in one of the Texas cases. So, obviously everyone wants their I-130 to be approved as fast as possible. And the I-130 petition for USC marriage cases right now are taking around 12 to 13 months to get approved for us. Every once in a while, we'll also submit an I-129F with that, a K3 petition. Not that the K3 is almost ever approved, but one out of like 10 times, it'll somehow cause the I-130 to be approved much faster. And we did get one of these approved recently. So out of like the last 5, we did only one of them got faster, but the I-130 was approved in 3 months. So that's really extraordinary, 3 or 4 months. And the bad luck is this was right in the Texas timeline where the Texas Service Center is stalling now. So the case got approved super fast, like 3 or 4 months. Now it's stalled at the MVC stage for 2.5 months now. And then we don't know what's going to happen. So it's like, we get fast in one part, get slow in another. That's just when you deal with the government. You never know what you're going to be dealing with next. And that's what we're dealing with right now. Number 3 of the top 10 and maybe top 12, 13, who knows? Venezuela. This is a multi-parter. So first of all, they suspended the Venezuelan parole program. I think it includes all these other countries, 2 or 3 or 4 other countries, or 3 other countries. But we've only had to deal with this with Venezuela. The annoying thing was this: if you filed it soon enough, the parole in place was issued. But then if you filed it later in like November, December 2023 or 2022, when was it? It was taking forever to get them approved. We finally got one of these approved like a month ago before they shut down the program. But by that time, the person was doing a K1 visa. They already got the fiance visa. They're here already applying for green card. So it was a waste. But that's really annoying. They start and stop these kind of things, especially if you filed already. Now, one note for Venezuelans is they do their interviews. I guess this should be number 4, but Venezuelans do their immigrant visa interviews in Colombia because there's no embassy there. Obviously, there's political situations between the two countries. Now, Colombia was taking forever to get an interview scheduled, but we had a Colombian couple, it was an IA-24 actually transfer. So it was an IA-24 case. Was it an I-130? It was an I-130, I think. Oh, it was I-130. They made a mistake on where to process it. We did an IA-24. That took 9 months or something to get transferred to the embassy. But once the case was documentarily qualified with Colombia, we got the interview notice like 2.5 months after being DQ'd. So I wasn't expecting that being so fast, which is really cool. So, hey, maybe Colombia is getting faster. I'm not sure if they're speeding up their E2s or not. I know they almost shut down E2 operations. I haven't done E2 in Colombia ever, so I don't really know, but that's what I've been hearing on the grapevine. Now, speaking of Colombia, the U.S. Embassy there, we have like good and bad news for it. So I rarely do K2 cases, but we have a K2 where the K1 is already in the United States. This is that Venezuelan case. Now, the nuances Venezuelan cases, they were not living in Venezuela. They're living on a Caribbean island. They did their interview in one of the islands over there and got the visa, came in. But then we needed to bring the kids in. The kids are in Venezuela. And I was worried. I'm like, hopefully they don't force the kids to go do an interview on the island because it's super expensive to go there, a super headache. And we wanted to go to Colombia. So I contacted Colombia, and very quickly they're like, oh, we'll request a transfer, no problem. So I was really happy about that. But now it's 2 months now. They still haven't finished the transfer. And the deadline to get the kids in is a year after the parents' visa is issued. The parents' visa issuance is coming up in like a month, and we still haven't moved it forward. So we have all the paperwork ready to go. We need the embassy to schedule the interview, and these people got to buy tickets and go. So where it's going down the wire is really stressful, especially because the parole in place program shut down now. We don't have that backup plan. I don't want to do an F2A for this because F2A takes forever. So we'll see what happens. But there's the good and the bad. Colombia said they'll help, but their help is taking forever. We're running down to the wire. Hopefully, they'll help us a little faster to get this case in. That was, I don't know, number 4, 5, 6. I don't know. It was a multiple parter that had relations to Venezuela. Next is the COVID vaccine. Why is the COVID vaccine still required at this point? It's kind of crazy. They made it, this is for immigrant visas or adjustment cases. If you need a green card, now they made it so you could show if you had just one of the shots is fine. In a lot of countries, if they don't have it, if you're doing constant processing, you'll waive the requirement because the doctor says we don't have the vaccine store. But that's one of those things. Like, why are they still doing this and putting people through this vaccine requirement when the vaccine doesn't work pretty much? And secondly, I mean, it's mutated so much, anyways. And secondly, it's just like it's like a bad flu nowadays. But that's just an annoying thing. Number 5 was interesting. My associate brought me to my attention. So, typically, if you are overstaying your I-94, if you have a case pending, like an adjustment case or an I-539 for change of status, cessation of status, the time where the case is pending will be considered a period of it's POSAB, it's POSABAG they call it, period of authorized stay. I forgot the B is for, but attorney general. So essentially, you're not accumulating unlawful presence days while the cases are pending. And that avoids getting the 3 or 10-year bar in case you need to leave and all that kind of stuff. So what's interesting is that on the USCIS page for H-1Bs, if you get an EAD under compelling circumstances, it says the EAD for compelling circumstances is considered POSABAG or a period of authorized stay as well, where you're not accumulating unlawful presence days. I was surprised to see this. I'm not sure why that would be the case, but USCIS policy is USCIS policy. It's on the website, so not the most reliable place, even though it's a government website. But hey, if you have one of these compelling circumstances EADs, I never filed for one. That is considered a period of authorized stay, and you won't accumulate unlawful presence days if you fall out of status. So that's very interesting to know that's the case. I took a screenshot for myself. I probably should share it with people online. That'd be a cool thing to put in a newsletter. If you're an immigration lawyer and you're not part of our newsletter, you're missing out. We just shared, I should have talked about this at the beginning, but I'm making a note to put this in a newsletter. But we just did a CLE with great attorney Joseph Sang about people who have green cards and they're outside the United States for 9, 10, 11, 12 years and how to deal with that. I mean, I was learning so much just doing the interview for the CLE. So check that out. We have another one coming up. Daniel Parisi, great lawyer in Europe, about D3 waivers. So you really want to check this stuff out. Hardcore information that can help your practice. You can even make niches. Like Daniel Parisi has a niche where he just does those. Joseph Sang has a huge sub niche in his firm just dealing with people who are coming in after long absences. You can make a whole career just based on these categories. We're sharing it with you free. If you're a lawyer, not just an immigration lawyer, we have a community page. You have to join that. All I need is your email address so I could add you to that group. And we have dozens of hours of CLEs for hardcore information to help you be the best immigration lawyer possible. So join us on that. All right, number 7, BCC. Okay, I'll say that for I don't feel like getting into that. Okay, so like next one, number 8, let's say maybe. Ethics. Do you hold on to clients' documents until they pay you in full? So our policy is that we have all the documents sent to the client themselves, unless really extraordinary circumstances, because if the post office loses it, come to me, or somehow like I mail it out to a client and it gets lost, it becomes so much of a headache having to deal with it and consequences of us having to pay for filing fees, refiling, client not believing us, thinking we're incompetent. So I don't have anything sent to me if possible. But there's a whole contingent of immigration lawyers who always have it sent to their office to kind of control the system and give it out. And a subcategory of them will withhold EADs, extension notices, green cards, etc., unless the client pays in full or pays the amount that's due to them at that time. And that was troubling to me. I don't know what the regulations are, but to be kind of controversial, I don't think it's appropriate. At the end of the day, you don't want to hold people's documents or copy of their file. That's just not good faith acting, in my opinion. I might annoy some people hearing that, but let me know. What do you think? Is that appropriate or not? Holding documents. I should make this a clip and put it out there. It's one of those controversial kind of things, but I don't ever think you could withhold documents. That's not a right thing to do. But what's your thoughts? All right, some gossip. We've had Ali Lozano on the podcast before, talking about a couple years back, or maybe 2-3 years back. Yeah, she's well known for starting her firm, having courses on doing the VAWA as a replacement for doing consular processing and waivers and stuff like that. And she's made a big business on it. Has a lot of students. You might see them on TikTok dancing, all that kind of stuff, and they're making well. And they're helping a lot of people get green cards. So maybe she's right. Who knows? But there's a lawsuit between an old employee that left, and there's issues about trademark law, about taking the trademark of the Spanish word for get your green card without leaving or something like that, and just taking business practices is getting down and dirty. And the numbers are coming out, how much money is being made in that. So it's a very interesting thing. I don't want to talk more about it. It's gossip to a certain extent, but at the same time, it's in the field. And it affects a lot of practitioners. It affects how the government's dealing with VAWA cases potentially, and how we guide clients. Because once I learned about these programs, I'm like, am I messing up by not giving the VAWA claim as willy-nilly as other lawyers may be? And willy-nilly might be a good legal term. I don't know. I haven't been doing that. We don't do VAWA cases generally, so it doesn't really come with the people that contact us. But it's the important law aspect is like, you got to know that VAWA may be more lenient than you might think it is, because these lawyers are getting the cases done and they're getting the green cards, it seems, and no one's suing them. So that means it's working fine. So just something to be aware of. So it's not really gossip. It's really practical kind of stuff that you have to be aware of. All right, number 9, let's say late filing I-751. So sometimes we have clients that come to us after their 2-year window for filing the I-751 has finished, and like, oh no, what do you do? Well, we just filed. So I want to heads up, that is possible if you have late filing I-751s. First things first, you want to check the alien number in the EOIR system to make sure they don't have a court case. Even if they do, you should file I-751 anyways. But secondly, just do a late file I-751. I haven't had issues with this before. I've only done a couple of these, but I just did one last week, and we got it in. It was about the month late, and you have to include a personal statement that says why you got it late. In the instructions, it says you have to have a good reason or outside your control, but we just tell them, hey, listen, I messed up. I didn't realize there was an expiration date. I'm sorry. And just as long as you have that, it gets receipted. You get the extension, and you're good to go. And you obviously have to have a good case and evidence, all that kind of stuff. But these late filing I-751s are possible. Be mindful of it. It's very important. Okay, so I'll just leave with this. I got 5 or 6 things. I guess I'll leave that for next week's cases. But this one is about diplomats. So if you're a diplomat, A1 category, and you have children in the United States, the children will not automatically become U.S. citizens. They're considered diplomat children. That it doesn't happen, all that kind of stuff. I got contacted by a guy who had an A2. And immediately I'm like, oh, I don't know if your kids could get citizenship. He's like, no, we already got citizenship for the child. Child's 21 now. We want to apply for a green card. I'm like, I don't know. Let me look into it. And apparently, if you're an A2, like a regular employee, not with diplomatic things, they will still, your child will get citizenship. So if you hear about these diplomatic, it's probably not going to deal with this too often, but these diplomatic child things do pop up, and it is possible they get citizenship. Now, there's a famous case where this one woman was a child of a diplomat, A1, I think it was, got a passport. And then when they were in their 20s or something, they went to join ISIS in Syria. Kind of crazy. And then they were caught there and they wanted to come back or something, like all this sorts of stuff. And they took away their passport. The State Department avoided it, and they sued. And the court said, no, you're a child of diplomat. You weren't born properly here for getting transmission of citizenship. You're stuck outside in ISIS territory. I'm not sure what's going on in Syria. They don't really report on that anymore. But that was the red flag. If someone's a diplomat, has a kid, immediately after your red flag goes up, okay, I got to look into this. And apparently there's exceptions for A2s and people who are regular employees for the embassy. So I'll leave it as that. I got some juicy ones, but I'll put it for next week. Our top 10 is always fun sharing this information. It's like hardcore immigration law. It's very helpful for colleagues to be aware of, to know what the red flags are. If you want to join, if you found this information helpful, you see how practical I am, join our immigration law course about marriage immigration, family immigration, and the O1 counterpart, the best immigration lawyers in Los Angeles, practically the country, coming together and just freely sharing information the way I like to do it. Great colleagues. I love it. And the more people we get that want to subscribe to this stuff, get into it, the more of these seminars and live conferences we could do. It's always a lot of fun. So hit me up, info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com for more information, info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com, the place to go. And if you want to get these free CLEs, again, I said D3 waiver CLEs coming, avoiding abandonment on your green card issues, plus other ones, 245I, how that works, how the 385 get permanent bar work. So much free information for you to be the best immigration lawyer as possible. It's malpractice. I can say it is malpractice not to do it. Thanks again, everyone. Hope to reach y'all soon and be back and here and all that kind of good stuff. I'm kind of going all over the place, but I wanted to get this episode out as soon as possible because my top 10 list is getting top 15 to 16. I got to clear out 10, so I have space for another 10 to come out. Please stay in touch. Until next one, have a good one.